Hello again, it's Min, and I am on my second to last day. I guess this is my last full day of the 2-week residency here at the Kimmel Harding Nelson Center for the Arts. I leave for California tomorrow afternoon. It's been a pretty productive time here. The 2 weeks, it wasn't even 2 weeks, it was maybe 11 days because it's Monday the week before to Friday of this week. But yeah, I've enjoyed my time, worked on a few writing projects I have right now, as well as got to see parts of Nebraska. I went into Lincoln one evening and went to Omaha a few times. I had a couple of meetings. I visited with a young playwrights group from the Rose Theater in Omaha, as well as got to see one of their performances and met with some other theater folks. I think this was a good time and I'm ready to go back. So I was trying to think about what I might share in this video, and I thought it might be kind of fun to just share observations about being here in Nebraska that were surprising for me as a lifelong Californian. So to be gimmicky, here are 5 things that surprised me about Nebraska. Number 1, the hills. I think watching movies, you kind of get this overview of the Midwest as just very flat. And while there are flat sections in Nebraska, I was surprised, whoa, there's massive thunder happening right now. I was surprised at how many hills were out when you're driving on the freeways. It actually reminded me of parts of the Bay Area, California. And even Omaha is not a flat city. There's a lot of hills there, and here in Nebraska City as well. So that was something I didn't expect. Number 2, the weather. And what I mean by that is the weather, at least in the time that I've been here, has fluctuated quite a bit from being super cold to yesterday being really warm. Yesterday was also a very dry and windy day, a lot of dust triggering my allergies. And then today it's a complete thunderstorm. So the folks at KHN warned me to be ready with layers, and that's something we say in the Bay Area, and they were not kidding. There are so many fluctuations in the weather here where it could start off in the 30s, and by the time we get into the afternoon it's close to the 60s, but it's direct sunlight, so it feels really warm. So yeah, I'm glad I listened and brought a bunch of layers. Number 3, sushi. I crave sushi / Japanese food when I haven't had it in a while, and being here was no exception, and I was actually able to find pretty good sushi. And I think that was a question for me because I assume the closer you are to the ocean, the more possibility of getting higher quality fish. But turns out that folks here in the Midwest that want to sell really good sushi fly it in, which is kind of amazing because that must be super expensive. But I was able to find pretty great sashimi at Hero 88 in downtown Omaha, which was recommended to me by the folks here at KHN. And I'm glad I went for it because I really enjoyed it. Number 4, cheap things. Parking for a day in the city of Omaha was $3. Something that could cost upwards of $15 to $25 in different parts of the Bay Area and Bay Area cities. So that was nice when I had to do trips to Omaha and had to pay for parking. It just didn't cost a whole lot. And I also watched a movie in Lincoln, and the ticket for that was pretty cheap for a really nice theater and really nice seats, which again, I think it wasn't so cheap, but it was still like $10, where in California that's easily a $15 ticket. Of course, eating at local restaurants, things are just cheaper. This morning I was able to have French toast, bacon, and eggs for only $7.95, and I went to a bar in downtown Omaha and drinks. My first drink was only $4. I think that was happy hour price, but even when happy hour was over, I essentially got the same drink, a second one, and it was only $5. Yeah, that was nice to not spend so much money while I was here. And then the final thing that I will say surprised me was traffic. There is hardly any. And if there is, it's because there's some kind of construction going on and not necessarily commute traffic. Or maybe folks here think of it as commute traffic, but for me, it's just denser. So I was sometimes driving right at peak rush hour times, like 4 or 5 o'clock, and it was no problem. Now, of course, I think it would be different if I was in, say, a city like Lincoln or Omaha and trying to head out to the suburbs. I was going from Lincoln or Omaha to Nebraska City. But in general, I'm just so used to congested Bay Area city traffic that being here was really refreshing and really nice. So those are some things that I was pleasantly surprised by here in Nebraska, and yeah, it's been a good time. I am ready to go home. We'll see. I tend to miss things 3 to 5 days after I've gone away, so I can't say yet that I'll miss this place, but I bet that I'll have a fondness in my heart for Nebraska City and KHN and Omaha and Nebraska in general. But my life is a little crazy right now because as soon as I get back home, I need to get ready for a trip to Charleston. And you'll hear all about that soon, I'm sure. I'd love to hear from you things that you have been surprised by when you've either visited Nebraska specifically or gone to a different state or part of the country. Feel free to let me know in the comments below, and I will see you next week.